Hey, everybody. Eric Chessen, founder of Autism Fitness, leading the movement for movement, and welcome to another edition of Tuesday Training. And in this episode, we are going to be talking about the cumulative nature of fitness. So, fitness is a lifelong endeavor, hopefully, and it has both short term and long term benefits. And we have to address all of these things in the context of we want to improve physical, adaptive, and cognitive skills as they relate to movement and physical skills now so that we can have more access to healthy physical functioning and even other types of health functioning in the future. So, the question about how much, how often, when, for example, I every once in a while get a question of how long do we need to have programs for an individual and when do they stop? And the answer to that is, well, we stop moving when we stop moving. And if we look at fitness as a life skill, which is what we're doing in autism fitness programming, then we want to have access to and capabilities with those skills throughout an individual's entire lifetime. If this is starting to sound a little bit like fitness for the neurotypical population, that's because it parallels it pretty much exactly. Although for the autism and neurodivergent population, these is even more important, and so we need to address these issues and challenges early and often, and that's why we need to make fitness part of the lifestyle. So let's talk about the cumulative effect. First of all, we want to begin with how often. Well, at minimum, we want training, and this is going to be predominantly strength based because these are going to be the movement patterns that generalize the most to activities of daily living and health and safety, and also the initiation of other skills outside the confines of the gym or the adapted PE session or the home session, wherever you're facilitating your fitness program. So once a week at very minimum, because we want there to be a training effect. A training effect means that there is enough of the physical stimulus for the athlete that the body needs to adapt and grow and change, because that's how strength and building musculature and building movement patterns, that's how all of that happens. So the question of too much is, I don't think I've ever had that come up in 20 plus years of training this population. So at minimum once a week. And then where we can get in more sessions, and it doesn't always have to be 45 minutes to an hour, but that cumulative effect is going to be greater if we're looking at consistent training throughout the week, then throughout the month, and throughout the year, because many of our athletes with autism and other neurodiversities are starting at a deficit physically with that motor patterning, with strength, with their ability to focus and engage in different exercises. So we need a lot more in order to close some of those movement gaps, develop strength, and from the adaptive side, increase that individual's motivation to participate and really make this part of their daily or at least every other day routine as well. That's where we can really see it blossom as those skills generalize. When we talk about the cumulative effect as well, we look at the different effects as an individual ages. Historically, I tend to work with athletes in their teens and 20s and into adulthood as well. So in their teens, certainly we want a physical outlet, and it's going to, when we say build confidence, we have to be really careful about what we're talking about. But the baseline of building confidence there is engaging the athlete in a way where they are capable of doing something more, and they can see and feel and experience the results of that. So the cumulative effect of the physical aspect of fitness is going to come into play there, because after the sessions and weeks of sessions and months of sessions that this athlete has, it may start to occur as, I'm good at this. I can do this. This is a place and a situation where I am capable. And that can happen regardless of our ideas about or the information we have about an individual's cognitive functioning. We don't always know what's going on for them internally in their sense of self, right? So that cumulative effect, as we move into adulthood, we're talking about having the ability to be more independent. And as we're looking for the future, we also have the preventative benefits of fitness. That strength, that stability, that motor planning is going to come into play in middle and older age, because that's where we see bone degeneration and muscular degeneration. That's where we see a lot of inhibited participation in life, because there is a greater risk of injury, and that's something that we want to certainly prevent. So exercise is cumulative in that, think of it as investing, and it very much is. It's an investment into our own physical capability and well-being, and of course that of our autism and neurodivergent population as well. And the best way to invest is not all at once, although that's certainly a way, but in terms of physical capability, we want it gradual and we want it to accumulate over time, because that's going to be the greatest benefit. So if we're talking about a one of, every month we do, a fitness program, or every month, we set up a little obstacle course or something like that, it's not enough exposure and practice to have a long-term or even a short-term effect. We want the training effect, because that ultimately is going to create those conditions, or creates the condition for that body adaptation, getting stronger, moving better. And that's only going to come with regular, routine practice, like anything else. So that investment is, daily or weekly, over time, is going to have that effect. So to close out this particular Tuesday training, keep in mind this is more on, it's philosophical but practical as well. We're looking at fitness from a long-term perspective for our autism and neurodivergent athletes. If that's the case, we want to plan not just for the next session, but what does it look like over time, and how is it going to enhance their life over time? So having just we're going to do this for 4 weeks, or we're going to do this for 6 weeks because it's arbitrary, what does that say for the long-term skill development? Everybody knows the cliche of the high school athlete who was a star, 20 or 30 or 40 something years ago, or someone who was really active in their teens and 20s. Does it do anything for them now? Not really, because they've stopped. So you can start putting in effort and then stop, but it's not going to have that long-term cumulative effect. So especially for our autism and neurodivergent athletes, it's important that this is something that they are able to carry with them over time, because at any age, any stage, any level of ability, fitness is going to be a significant change or game changer in their approach to and ability to navigate life. I am Eric Chessen, founder of Autism Fitness, advocating fitness as a life skill, lunacy that may seem. And if you are ready to become an Autism Fitness Certified Pro and bring the best in fitness and adapted PE programming to the individuals that you serve, well, the link to learn more or to register for your Autism Fitness Level 1 certification that you can do anywhere in the world, anytime, and then join me for your live virtual practical where you get the hands-on, brains-on, feet-on training that you and your athletes deserve. Well, that link is right. It's down there somewhere. You'll see a link. It'll be clear. I don't always know where it is. Anyway, thank you for watching, and that was your Tuesday training.